Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Bear Opinion. My name is Mitch, and before we get going today, I want to say sorry about the brief absence I've had. I've been finishing up exams and finals and some final projects here at college. I go to a college that's on trimesters, so we're just finishing up the second trimester, and I'm now on spring break for a week. And yeah, so thanks for bearing with me there, and things should be coming out a little bit more frequently now. So that aside. Today we're going to talk about a story or kind of a topic that it's not exactly old news, but it did come out. The story did come out while I was on my brief break, but I still think it's completely relevant to talk about. And we're going to be talking about Suicide Silence and their little album snafus that they've been having, and some of the comments that Eddie's been making. So let's get into it. So for those of you who don't know. Suicide Silence just released a self-titled album, and it sounds a little bit like this. Yeah, not a lot of people are too keen on the album. I'll just put it that way, myself included. I think it's a very strange album. Strange for this fact. There's a lot of really good instrumentation on this album. I think it's super heavy, and it's a good listen to if you were to completely take away the vocals. But my God, the vocals on this thing are just, I don't know what happened. I really don't. And I get that they're probably going for that raw taste. You know, a lot of Eddie's vocals on this are completely just like raw and very straightforward, but it's ugly. It does not sound good. I mean, songs like Run and, of course, the now infamous Doris that you just heard, it sounds like demo quality. It really does. It's very strange. And a lot of people have, made their claims about it. And the band has heard these claims. You know, they hear the disdain for the record. And this is kind of where the story comes in. So Eddie has gone on record with AP, Rock Sound, a few other places, talking about the poor album sales, the general negative response to the album. I want to talk to you. I want to talk about a couple things that he's been claiming. So to start, it's very clear that Eddie does not really care, or at least he's trying to put that message out there that he does not really care about what people are saying about the album, which is fine. I get that. You're probably not going to come out and say, yeah, you know, this album was a piece of shit. You know, we screwed up. You know, a lot of bands aren't going to do that, and especially a band who is kind of ingrained in hardcore, you know, history to this point with, you know, Mitch Lucker dying and that whole, you know, and You Only Live Once being one of the more popular hardcore songs. Anyway, so according to this article on AP, the album sales were only breaking 4,600 in the first week, which is not very good, landing at 163 on Billboard 200, which, in all honesty, the fact that 4,600 sales can get you to even 163 is kind of blowing my mind a little bit, but it's not a lot of sales. So two of the statements that he made I want to talk about. Firstly, he's talking about how, I'll just read the quote here. Everything that is happening for a reason. I couldn't be happier with the outcome of everything. Really? I mean, are you really happy about this, Eddie? He goes on to talk about how it's a learning experience for him and all that. Let's put it this way, Eddie. This is not the time in your career to be having a learning experience, okay? I get that this is a new voyage for Suicide Silence, right? You know, they're adding some cleans in there, kind of getting like a Korn, Slipknot-y kind of sound going here. But this is not the time to be learning, okay? You need to be putting out, you know, this is a big chance for you and Suicide Silence to show that you're back on it. You know, you're taking your place in the band and really, like, you know, taking it to a new level, but instead, I guess you want this to be a learning experience. I don't get that. I think that's a huge mistake on his part to even say that. But for the fact that he's looking at it that way is just kind of silly. I mean, you've been in the industry enough to know what people want, dude. And these like shallow, muddy, kind of gross vocals that you're putting in this record are they're just sad. It just sounds really bad. So I just wanted to put that out there. But the bigger contextual kind of thing I want to talk about was what he said about the record industry as a whole. It's something that I find very interesting, this idea of the record industry dying. And that is what he said. He's quoted as saying the record industry is dying, and goes on to say, it's becoming stale because the higher-ups and the people that run things put too much value into what people say on the internet and forget that there are a plethora of people out there who are not being catered to. Okay. Basically, if I'm reading this right, and I may be understanding this quote incorrectly, there is a little bit more where he says, we're going to show the industry that this online world we've been putting so many of our fears and anxieties into isn't actually real. What does that mean, dude? Are you saying that the opinions of people on the internet are not valid? Because let me put it this way. Yeah, there are a lot of dumb people on the internet. That's just the truth. And yeah, a lot of your negativity is coming from trolls and people who haven't even listened to the album, who just want to, get on the bandwagon of hate. I get that. I totally get that. But if you're saying that this online world we've been putting so many of our fears and anxieties into isn't real, what does that mean, dude? These people have valid opinions. And you're, the face that you're having painted for you on the internet is the one that most people are going to see. So if you're going to say that these, people that are saying, shit talking your new album on the internet are not a factor, that's wrong. That's completely wrong. And you're going to have a lot of trouble, regaining any, strength in this genre if you're going to talk like that, dude. I'm not saying that you have to like it. I'm not saying you have to like these kids on Tumblr or on YouTube talking shit about your record, through a keyboard. I get it. It's not great. It's not something that I'm sure a lot of bands like to deal with. But to say that it's something that's not real, like, you're being naive. You're really being naive. So that aside, I also just want to discuss this idea that the record industry is dying. And yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, if we're talking literally like physical CDs, yes, I mean, I get that. People don't buy music a lot. I do. I buy a lot of CDs. I like listening to them in the car. I think a CD is, in my opinion, the most quality way to listen to music. I think it's good stuff. But, I mean, that doesn't deny the fact that, people don't buy CDs very much, and I get that. You look at Best Buy, their CD selection is cut in half, FYE cut in half. There's a lot of music stores that are just going away and going towards things more like, Blu-rays, video games, stuff like that. But I think the interesting thing to look at here is vinyl records and the way that vinyl records are being sold and how many of them are being sold, whether it be collectability or listening to. I think physical music at this point is becoming more of a collector's item rather than a actual listen to item or format or whatever you want to say. And is there anything wrong with that? I don't know. I love CDs, like I've said, and it's kind of sad to see so many people kind of go away from that. I remember this last summer, I was an Uber driver, and people would get in my car for their ride, and they would laugh or like always make a comment on how many CDs I had lining my fold-down mirrors. They say, wow, you have so many CDs, like blah, blah. Like, it was like surprising to them. And to me, it's not, but I get it. People really only use Pandora, Spotify, iHeartRadio, whatever, to get their music nowadays. And yeah, I guess if you're looking at it that way, sure, Eddie, the record industry is dying. But in reality, in my opinion, of course, the record industry is just simply evolving and it's changing a lot. Now, you look at it this way. You have bands who, get their label signing, get their contract to make a record. They make the record. It does fairly well. But, in most cases, a lot of bands ain't making a lot of money off of the record sales, okay? A great movie to watch to get a little bit of insight on this, if you want to take it, as truth, which I do, but, maybe you don't. The band 30 Seconds to Mars released a documentary called Artifact, where they discuss their record-making process and just how much goes into it and how little money really they're making off of it. So, a lot of bands, especially in the smaller range, like the bands who are selling out like maybe like 100 people at a show, 100 to like maybe like 300 people at a show, they ain't making a lot of money off their records. They're making money off of merch sales and ticket sales. Okay. So, in my opinion, and maybe this is something that people won't agree with, I think this new, industry of streaming and downloading music, I think it's fine. I really do. I'm into it. And I think it's because it's actually way, 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 way more beneficial for smaller bands. Because what you can do is you pay to get your music on iTunes, get it on Pandora, get it on Spotify. People can access your music so much easier and from anywhere. They don't have to go to your show at a bar with 10 people to get your mix CD, They can listen to your stuff online. Oh, and SoundCloud. Of course, I forgot about SoundCloud. That's a huge thing. So people are able to get their music out there. Yeah, they're not getting paid a lot for it, but it's bringing people to their shows. It's getting them hype on social media, which, whether you like it or not, is the face of music right now. Social media. People see new music videos through Facebook posts or tweets. People know about shows and tour updates because of social media. That's just the way of the world. So is the record industry dying? Yeah, maybe. I mean, physically, yeah, it is. I mean, maybe not vinyls, but CDs, oh yeah, they're on their way out. They're probably, I'd be surprised if bands are even selling CDs within like 10 years. And who knows, maybe there'll be like a new form of media that comes out that takes over everything. But streaming music is not a bad thing. It really isn't. It's a new form of letting people get their work out there. And I get it. I mean, the bigger bands who are selling tens of thousands of record on their the debut of it, they're missing out on a little cash, and I get that. I totally get that. But is that cash, equal to or less than getting 3 or 4 million streams on Spotify and then having an extra couple thousand people come to see you at a show and buying your merch? I don't know. Maybe it's not. I'm not in a band. I mean, I'm not in a band that is at that level, whatever. I don't know exactly everything that goes into it. This is just from my own research, from my own understanding of things, and of course I could be a little off on this stuff, but from my opinion, streaming, Spotify, all that stuff, I think it's just the new way of the world. It gives the little guy a little bit more of a boost in getting their music and their reach out there, and I think it's a great thing. So Eddie, just to close out here, bud, listen to what people are saying online, because those are the people who are listening to your music. It's not fake, okay? These people's opinions about your shitty demo recording album are real, okay? There's a reason your album is not selling, and it's not because people are bad listeners or bad fans. It's because you wrote a bad album, okay? Yeah, you're right. It's a learning curve, I guess, if you want to look at it that way and pep yourself up a little bit about it. But how about for the next album, if there is one, let's just write good music and stop trying to be this this face of denying hatred and being a big badass. Okay, we get it. Just make a good record. That's all we want, dude. Okay, so that's all I got to say about that. Please let me know if you agree or disagree or whatever down below. I know I said a lot of pretty up in the air comments there that I know a lot of people probably won't agree with or have slightly different views on. So please let me know what you think down below. Please hit the subscribe if you want to hear more from me. I mean, I'm going to start posting a little more frequently now that I'm on break and I'm going into next term. Yeah, check out the Bare Opinion Facebook page, all that good stuff. You know the drill. Until next time, adios.